Ba-dum-bum-bum-bum-bum. Da-da-da-da-da-da. Yo, morning. What's going on, studs? Hold on here. Let me make sure we're ready to party. Everybody ready to shred or what? Happy NVIDIA earnings day. Oh, yeah. Let's get to work, people. Johnny, what do you got, baby? Let's get to work. Yeah, we got a big gap up in the market. Guys, this is, I think, going to be... This is where things get like super dicey today. There is not as much edge as you would think on like days where you gap up like this. Even though like you're in the free and clear, a lot of this range gets sucked out at the open. And frankly, like, dude, the ATR gets used up pretty fast. Like we've already basically used up most of the QQQ ATR. I wouldn't say all of it, but at the open at some point we'll need a pull before we make really any decisions, right? Like any decisions, you're going to need some kind of pull. Because if you thrust up, you may get a gap and go, but it's really rare. Like if you go back and you're looking at the market, right, and you're like kind of looking for like these kind of like big gap up days, like we had one here and it was a gap and go, right? This was on the CPI or PPI day. And you got a gap up, you got one pullback. So you do get a pullback and you'll often fill some of this gap. And then like, you kind of grind it higher. So that's essentially the kind of playbook that you want to look for on days like this. You don't want to come in and start like banging the box. You don't want to come in and start banging the box like right at, you don't want to come banging the box right at this like open, right? Trying to get up here, like let it pull back into the bone zone or right, something along that end. And then you can, I think then you can roll with it. But otherwise, just, we're going to have to like chill it out. It'll pull at some point, but you can't come in. You just can't come in this hot, right? Not when you're already overbought. So let's just keep in mind on this. The SPY's a little bit less extended. You've got you're coming out of this range over here. And you do have further upside. It's not like you're like running into resistance. Obviously, you're at all-time highs. And you're not really getting into some huge level of stretch, but on a per minute basis at the open, we do. Like we're gonna have a lot of random shit happen. So let's wait for the pull. Everything is, all systems is a go at this point, but you still need the entry. And when you are like the time to really shred in the market is, when you're above these levels. And then you're also, right, hanging out over the 9 EMA, right? And so we've been kind of trending up the 9 EMA for a while. But the beginning of it, right, we were under breakout. So the market's obviously going to be a little bit more choppy. It's this phase of the market that really is like where you're going to have, right, the wind at your back. And you can be really aggressive. Overnighters hold. So this is like this phase here, breakout plus 9 EMA. That's where you want to take overnight risk. You can do swing trades. You can... right, have a book of positions. You can do a lot of different stuff where like, when you're in this kind of zone, you can't really do that. And so we are free in the clear, but this gap like on a minute by minute basis is going to be a little bit more tricky. I'd say like maybe we got room to right the top of the Bollinger Band or something along that end. So you got a few more points left. But the big hairy Indian butt is that, there's no instances, very few instances where some of the gap does not fill, especially this year where it's been gap city and then gap fade city. That's been a product of this year in specific that we've seen a little bit more often. Now let's take a look at the old NVIDIA over here. You can see like you're coming straight out of this bad boy, right? So, you kind of had a quick spike down. I wouldn't even, it might just be a wick, but you thrust it up pretty much the whole thing in one candle, and then you had a pull, go it, and now you're marinating over here. So we'll see what's up. I mean, there's not much you could do on this particular day on this. A lot of times with these heavier stocks, these thicker stocks that are like already really expensive, you know, they gap up and they kind of just like sit over the VWAP and they, you know, they come back and it's like you just get this kind of stuff. Every blue moon, like, you know, you start to get a grinder into the afternoon. But it's in usually a different phase of the market. So, you know, you have different cycles of breakout essentially. What I mean by different cycles of breakout is like, you know, stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, stage 4, right? Like your bases that you're coming out of. When you're coming in and, you know, you're on your like fifth, you know, base breakout, then, you know, things are going to be a little bit more, you know, dicey. We're not on the fifth per se, but that's just going to be something to keep in mind. So when we look at this, you know, this will be what I want you to do today. And what I plan on doing is using this more as a proxy, right? We keep this up to make sure that the market's going to hold up and the market's going to do this, market's going to do that. But the big hairy Indian butt is that, you know, we want to go in with the offshoots and, right, see what's going on. Like, you know, you have something like this MU that's, right, busting through. Now, look, this is gapping up pretty much as NVIDIA. So you need, right, some type of pull. You need a lot going on this before we do it. We'll get a pull at some point, too. Like, whether it comes or not, it's not like if it comes, like it will come at some point. You know, and usually they'll pull back into 20 EMA or even something a little bit of an undercut. Then you'll see like what's going on. So let's keep some of these semis on. I think Taiwan Semiconductor is obviously, you know, a big beneficiary of this kind of stuff too. And this is in breakout territory. Now, look, this is opening up in a weird spot. So like you need it to kind of come in back and fill, right? Like some kind of nasty candles and then like a little grip and a hold. I think will do it good because we need to kind of fill back. Like you're hitting the top of the Bollinger Band here, you know, like you need to back and fill some of this area to do it. You know, Qualcomm probably too extended. You know, the flag was over here. First of all, this stock never moves like this, right? This never moves like this. This was its earnings day. And then at post earnings, it just farted around. Like there was nothing really going on. And then the speed up has been serious, right? Like that's some good God-fearing Christian cash right there. That's that is some good money right there. And you can see the trend is like really opened up on this. Jeremy, this is just the 9 EMA and the 20 EMA. It's just shaded in between. But you know what? They usually cross over to kind of indicate like maybe a little bit of trend indecision versus it opening up. Just a way to kind of stay out of confusion, you know, when you're kind of like if you're long in a bunch of it and you're this way, right? It's like you may be stuck in a little bit of choppy McGee. So Qualcomm, I don't think this one we want to play today. I do think we can add in SMCI. You know, you have a flag pattern that's been developing. Now look, this mother sucker is already, dude, it's already gapping up 54 points. The ATR 63 points. So what can we really do with this, right? What can we really do with this? It can go up. We've seen this thing go up 10%, 15% in a day. The more of the question becomes, you know, the question really becomes, can we do it at the open? Probably not, right? Let it give back 10 points, 15 points. Hold on, I got somebody at the door. I think it's our midwife. 1 second. Hey, what's up? Are we making this happen today or what?
Hi, Bucky. Hi. Charming.
You want any coffee or anything?
No, at the moment. I'm good, thank you.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Miranda.
She upstairs?
Yeah. Sorry about that, the lady. She drove a while to get here. Gotta make sure that door is open. Now let's go. Sorry, I apologize about that. Now, we got a flag pattern on this. I think this is probably, right? I mean, that's going to be top of the list, right? AMU, top of the list. Let's, we don't have to have too many of these. You could just keep this pretty simple. AMD's got a breakout at 170. Now, obviously, this one trades like shit lately. It's already used up its ATR too. So we need pulls. There's no getting around that. We need pulls, all right? So let's add these, couple of these semis in just in case we get the pull, and we will. Then we'll move on. Now, let's take a look at any kind of earnings plays and stuff beyond NVIDIA here. NVDL. These are all the NVIDIA ETFs. And by the way, these NVIDIA ETFs, this one in general does pretty good volume. You can totally roll with these. Like NVIDIA is super expensive. You can trade this one, right? You can trade this one, and it's a little bit easier, frankly, because it just costs less money, right? So just kind of keep that into the back of your head too. When you get these bad boys, like this one is going to move just a little bit cleaner. Borgia, and you see this Soxel too. It's got a little bit of room to run. I know. You know what? These calls yesterday were actually pretty cheap. Like sometimes if you're doing options to trade, like, it's better just do the ETF, like, this, the 50s or something. Like they were at 130 yesterday. These will open up, these will open up very nice. Sometimes that's the easiest way to do it. But you can see this is probably a little extended over here. It's gapping out outside the upper boundary band. So moral of the story is we just need pulls on these. Wolf, old Petco. Yo, this had actually 25 million shares in volume yesterday. It got rejected at the 200-day moving average. But, it does have a little bit of this kind of rounding going on. Small caps have been hot for a little bit of time now. I mean, since really December, it's been the best market to trade. So just kind of I'm not for me, but you can kind of roll with something like this too. If it remounts the 200-day moving average, I would take a look at it. Not my particular flavor. You know about Pedro and the pool guy. You don't want to mess with that stuff. Right? You know about Pedro and that pool guy. You ain't going to want to mess with it. So leave it alone unless you just are very in tune. If you got fast fingers, you've got all that kind of stuff. All right, cool. Roll with it. If you don't, then you gotta leave it alone. Does that make sense? Yeah, it depends on how fast your fingers are, frankly. Look at Dell. This is gapping up on news. Hey, now these solars, this is what I do want to talk about at some point here. Let's get into these solars here. Let me flip through these real quick. This snow, I think we can put on, right? So snow, I think these guys had their earnings out. Okay, lifting product. Hey, earnings decline, but revenue rises. Blah, blah, blah. Hey, this snow could do it, all right? This snow, you've got a pretty big base here. It got shredded off its previous earnings. You're right at the 200-day moving average. If it holds, we don't know because this stock is a notorious turd, but if it does hold, bros, we could get this thing going. What do you think? Yeah, I think it's a possibility. Let's add this to the watch list. I will say there's a little bit of a caveat with snow in that it does have a big spread, especially at the open. So if you're going to nail this thing or try to nail it or whatever, right? What you need to be doing, you got to be doing is, you're going to have to wait it out a little bit. You're going to have to wait it out just a little bit and let that spread tighten. Or if you hit it, make sure that you kind of layer into it. Like, for example, like if you were going to do, say, 500 shares, right? You may have to come in like 100 at a time and just make sure that your fills are okay and you're not. Dude, I've hit this one before where there's like you do like 1,000 shares and then the spread becomes like $2 and you're like fuck, right? And so then you end up selling it real quick because you're freaking out, and then, dude, and then you end up pikering yourself because then it just re-ramps and you got just all this stuff that happens. So what we need to be doing, what we gotta be doing, right? What we need to be doing, what we gotta be doing is add this and let's just roll with a little bit of caution on this one because of the spread. Comprendes? Comprendes, amigos amados. Los amigos amados. All right. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Cool. Fucking A, man. Bam. Let me see what else VFC has earnings. You're right. Yeah, this one's been a little bit of a dog. You know, and the other shitty part about this one will be like it's already kind of refilling a lot of the gaps. So then it's like you really get stuck. You're stuck in like a weird place, right? You're stuck in a really weird place on it due to the open. Beaky. You know, PDD kind of got knifed a little bit yesterday. And that does, I don't want to say worries me, but you do want to be slightly careful, right? The China stocks were like getting a little bit shredded yesterday. But to me, this looks like an orderly pullback, right? To me, this looks like an orderly pullback. Right into the bone zone. Like, so you can see her 34 pulling back. Like, if you get a green candle to hold on this bad boy, I mean, I think you can roll with it. That's hot, right? Let's see if it's gapping down. Let's see if we go red to green on this. There's a shot that we may be able to come in on some of these, you know, and see. Let's see if they can get a reversal. I think, hold on here. Baba, right on the 200-day moving average. So you got $90 down to 80. Dude, add it. Let's see if these things bounce up. Future pullback, but not really that good of a zone. What other ones are we missing on this bad boy? Billy, little Billy Bong. So Billy Bong's got Billy Bong sitting on the 20 EMA. You got 17. Oh. Yeah, let's take a look at those. I think this one's okay. I think Baba's probably the best one out of the group. Maybe JD is pretty orderly, but it's a little bit more no man's land. Let's take a look at the solars because I think there's two things. I want to short, if we get an extension today, this mRNA. It sadly did not hold its gap. It announced some news of Pfizer. It spiked up to 169. I was really hoping for a big gap up. We would have had an epic little shred on this. It's already pulled back freaking $10. So we do got to be a little bit, careful. Man, fuckers. You know, this is a motherfucker because we could have used that gap up. I'll say that. Because the thing is, if it drops anymore at the open, say it gets down to like here, it's probably bouncing up a little bit and all this kind of fucking jazz. Let's see. Fake red to green. What I want to do on this bad boy, all right? What I want to do on this bad boy, I want to go red to green, but like fake red to green. So like let it spike through, and then we'll wait for like a fizzle out or something along that end. Does that make sense? All right, good, 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 good. Oh yeah, this is nice, real nice, my friends. I think today's the day. So look, the 9 EMA on this is at 143. The 9 EMAs on this is at 143. So you have at least $20, give or take, of right downside on this, and maybe a handful of dollars left of upside. So this is like, but we needed the gap up, obviously. That's not going to happen. So now we got to have some kind of failed push, and then a little bit of a fizzle out. And I think this thing will be ready to party. Also there is a subset of, strategy in this, right? Throughout the many years, right? Our bread and butter, like the one setup we've made the most money on in terms of reward has been the sell the news play, right? The sell the news play has been for years a little bit of our bread and butter. So I think this bad boy, we could have a little sell the news event, with this like Pfizer news, which is probably just bullshit anyways. And the other thing is like it's popping up because of this bird flu, which, historically, like, the bird flu comes every couple years, like 2 people get it, and then, right, it just kind of fizzles away. So that's also, right, like, hey, look at, like, we like birds, man. We eat birds. We have birds as pets. Like, we do shit with the birds. Like, this is prime time. And then as this fades, you can see the tiredness on NVAX, right? See this wick here? So it spotted up and then it gave back, right, a decent amount right here, 2 points. So now, like, we're going to probably pop up here. And, if we make a lower high, then we're going to have a little bit of, with this wick here, like it's a seller's wick. So we make the lower high. Heck yeah, let's take that bad boy down too. Comprendes? Good. Now, beyond that, I want you to add in a couple of these solars, right? So SPWR is going. The shoals. I want you to add shoals in. There's not that many cheap ones left. And this one to 50 million shares, but it used to be an IPO. It's a fairly new company, 2021. Let's see if we bust through that 8 run. Is sitting here right at the 200-day moving average. We've got a potential shot on something like this too. Oh yeah. And we don't really have much economic news today either. Yeah, let's add this run. I got a couple caveats on this bad boy. We haven't seen much follow through on solars, really at all, the last handful of runs. Like, we've had these kind of big candles here, and they haven't followed through yet. Right, they're not. So we do got to be careful. But I want you to add in this ENPH. Right, if we take out this 125 ENPH, I think FSLR is probably too extended at this point. Awesome run the last 2 days, but we probably don't want to come in. It's a great breakout, and we probably want to hit the first pullback on it, but I don't think we want to come in on that. And then you have CSIQ. I think these 3 will be the easier ones to trade. They're going to have some liquidity. They're of the right price range in terms of, upside. I think both of those are going to be I think both of those are going to be juicy. I want you to add one more small bomber today. You know, this is kind of these teenager stocks are starting to push. So you got Zim here, old Zim. You know, old Zim over here is, man, it's got a little something, something, no? Like it's got a little something, something for everybody. Yeah. Like I want in on these, you know? Hold on here. I want in on the Zim Nation. It got its earnings out of the way. It did an undercut on the earnings. You know, it dropped down to 17 yesterday twice, right? So on the earnings, it did. And it gapped down on the earnings, complete reversal. Gapped down fucking yesterday. Double bottom. Boy, we should have been knee deep in this thing, huh? Double bottom on this thing. Yeah, you know, a lot of people have been talking about the NVIDIA split. I think, yeah, 20 billion share float is not ideal, but I mean, what are you gonna do? Tesla also has a big share float, right? Float is not as important as it used to be. Personally, I don't think with all the algos and you know HFTs and stuff now, like there's just so much more money flowing into these things. It used to be 10 years ago, if a stock had even 200 million shares in float, it moved like such a dog. I mean, it's like we couldn't even do anything with it. Now, you know, the stocks are moving a little bit better. I think it should be okay. It's not going to move probably, yeah, as well as it does now, but you are getting into like weird territory. Once you get into the thousands, these stocks become so damn hard to trade too. They really do because the spread on it's like 50 cents, 60 cents. You know, if you chase it on a break, it's sometimes they drop the bid. They do all this fucking stuff. So I think it's, you know, it'll be okay. Yeah, you know, snow is already fading off, so let's be a little bit careful with this. The 200-day moving average is at 72. So what we want to do is just right click and edit, hit extend right. Just make sure you draw a trend line right there. Just have a little bit of an alert. You don't want to hit this thing under the 200-day moving average. A lot of failed breakouts come from when, you know, you have some intraday pattern that looks pretty good and then boom, you come in hot, but it's not, right? Because you're right under resistance. We want to make sure we don't get into any of that stuff. Da, 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 da. All right, we got run. Okay. Da, 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 da. Dude, I think this SMCI is going to be a 6 windows. What do you think? Yeah, I think this one, we got to get a pull on it. Also, SMCI 2 is like notorious. If you chase it, it can get so spready that it, you know, fakes you out. I've lost so many times on this thing because I bought it a little bit too high, and then the spread becomes like $5, and I'm like, fuck. You know, even if you have just a couple hundred shares, you're like, fuck, and then you end up selling it and doing all this stuff. Hey, JT, what's up, baby? Yeah, let's add SMCI. Yeah, everybody's asked about Tesla. I'm not sure on the Tesla. Look, it had the power candle, then it had a shit candle. Maybe it's technically an inside day. It's technically an inside day, so it doesn't ruin the setup. But like, you would really like it to be like on an inside day. You'd really like it to be a little bit more, right? A little bit more shallow, right? Like you really want it to be like just a little bit more shallow. You know, when you're down, when you have a nice day and then you're down 6-7% the next day, it's not as orderly as like your classic inside day. And that's what throws me off a little bit on this. I'm just wondering if maybe we have, right? If maybe we have an easier play somewhere to do. Does that make sense? Good. Just, yeah, sometimes it's just easier. There's an easier something. Where's this fucking pop? Good. What the fuck? Hey, this Lulu I've got on watch for a rubber band setup. You know, it didn't trade that thin yesterday. It did 9 million shares, but it felt like, to me, that felt like a little bit of capitulation volume. You know, you don't, usually when you're already down like 7, 8 days in a row, and then you have like the biggest volume day in a while, a lot of people see the volume as a sign that it's like, they see the volume as a sign that it's going to go down more. But usually if it happens at the tail end of like a flush, it's more capitulation volume. So just kind of be mindful of that. Hey, Tobias, this DJT sucks to trade. Dude, I'm like, oh, for 1,000 on this thing. Actually, I traded a couple times and ripped a big one, and then yeah, I think a little bit of a tweener, right, brother? It's on support, but there's resistance right over, right? So you just are like stuck in this sandwich. I think when you have the sandwich, there's just easier, there's going to be easier things to trade. Does that make sense? Fucking Zim. Let's see. I need to be watching more charts. Zim. Bama. Yeah. mRNA, good. Let's make sure we got mRNA up on the kitchen today. Hot. All right. So we got SMCI, we got AMU, we got vaccines for short. This app is into the bone zone. Pass. We'll have a couple solars. The rest of this we can leave alone. This Eli Lilly is probably more of a swing. Zim, that's top of the list. Good. Zim also, top of the list. Yeah, let Lulu break down, like maybe like an over under, let it break down, retest, something along that end. I do think gold has probably got a little bit of a swing in it. This was a double top. Now you pulled back, you'll probably make a round, right? You'll start to round back up into the third. Good eye, says the fly. MU's gonna need a pull. I'd probably stay away. I think the NVIDIA, you gotta really probably I'd let it, if you're gonna trade it, let it set up. I think the offshoots are just gonna be a lot easier to trade today. Tesla, we'll keep it on watch too. I do think maybe we wanna just be a little bit mindful of this one. Fuck if I know, Aaron, man. Nobody tell me nothing. We're actually like a week late. Hold on, guys. Let me refluff my coffee. Who's that? What's up?
Sounds like you're gonna have a baby today.
Upstairs.
Oh, yeah. They're doing the fingering stuff.
Stop.
All right. Dude, Samka, you know me all these fucking years. You know I'm going to tell you fuck off on that trade. Why are you going counter trend in bull market for swings? Beyond the fact that your Italian blood has been mixed by beyond the fact that your Italian blood's been mixed by the continents. No longer are you guys Roman stock. All right, let's fucking do this. What are we missing here? What are we missing? Okay, we got to add snow. SMCI, I think, is going to be good. We need one solar. Maybe we'll do run. Hey, EX, I was going to say that, but I'm on stream. You know, I didn't want to. Don't want to try to get canceled. All right, guys. Trade well, trade fast. You know what we got to do.